Hello. Hello, how's it going? Morning. I hope that's woken you up a bit. My name is Gavin Strange. I go by the name of Jam Factory on the internet. I live and work in beautiful Bristol in the UK. If you've not heard of the UK, it's a small little island where everything is fine and there are no problems at all and everyone is really happy. Everyone's super, super happy. I'm sorry. I live there with my wonderful wife, Jane, who's a jewelry designer. We live there with our beautiful rescue adopted greyhound called Peggy and our gorgeous little boy, Sullivan Grey Strange. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but beep, beep, I think this might be my favorite image I've ever taken in the whole entire world. He's not normally like this. He didn't get his sandwich first. He was not into it. This is him in his normal habitat, but I did notice a similarity. Any excuse I can to make stuff for him, I will. I've pretty much figured out that that is the reason to have children, because they are just your muse, they are your inspiration. Everything and anything, just make it for them. I mean, he's going to be sick of all these invites. He had his 3rd birthday party recently at a skate park, and he's like, oh, dude, I've got to make this authentic zine. So I spent hours and hours cutting out and pasting and photocopying it just to give to no one. That's a big theme of this talk. He's doing stuff when no one cares. Anyway, so I'm a director and a designer for Aardman Animations. And Aardman Animations is a creative studio based in Bristol. It's over 40 years old now, and it originally started life predominantly as a stop frame animation company. And you may have seen its work from things like Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep and movies like The Pirates and Chicken Run. But it's a creative studio that does everything and anything from stop frame to 2D to 3D to 4D to video games to events to installations. It is a creative hub that does everything and anything, and I really feel like this place is home. I've worked there for over 12 years now, and I stumbled in became a senior designer for the interactive arm. But over a decade, I shared with them my passion projects and my love for filmmaking. And over time, those passion projects and side projects started finding their way more and more into my creative day job with support and help and guidance from the experts that were there. I managed to sort of morph and shift and change my career, becoming a director and a designer. And the fact that I can have an absolute dream job at a place I adore whilst learning with those people over a period of time just means so much to me. And I think the big thing, a huge takeaway for me, is that if a place or an institution or a person or whatever gives you their trust, then you want to repay that trust in kind, right? You know, it's kind of simple. You'd think that every company, every organization would do it. Trust your employees, trust your students, trust your colleagues, and they will do great things for you. Because as an adult, as a human, you go, oh, thanks for trusting me, I did a good thing. But actually, loads of places don't do that. They feel like you. I get it. I get the scary side of that, because whoa, if you kind of just let people be free, then how do you control things? How do you make money? How do you steer it? It is a scary thing. I do understand that. But the benefits that you reap when you are just given freedom is actually those individuals, those humans, want to give you back 200, 300% more with what you gave them in the first place. So that's a really exciting thing and a thing I'm very, very proud of. This is a little sample of what I do when I'm there. some of the stuff that I love to do there. I have a passion for all mediums, all disciplines, all styles, all everything. And a lot of this talk is going to be breaking down some of those projects and going into them a little bit more. But also, I'm trying to find my creative voice in my stills work, my moving image work. And I figured the best way to figure out who you are, what you want to do, what you want to make, is by trying all and seeing where it can take you. But we don't stop being creative at 5, 6 o'clock when we finish work, or we pick the kids up after school, or we finish school or university, whatever it is. You're always having ideas. Your brain is always firing. So I like to take advantage of that and to do as much as I can, as often as I can, as frequently as I can. And the best thing about doing stuff in your own time is that no one can tell you not to. I like doing 2D and 3D and characters and illustration and pixel and small stuff and big stuff and toys and everything and anything. Some of it's terrible. Some of it's not so terrible. But it doesn't matter. It's mine. In your passion project time, you are totally free to indulge in the things that no one has asked you to do at all, and definitely will never ask you to do. But that's the joy of it. The difficult bit, and this is what I'll cover later, is finding the time to make it happen. But you aren't ever going to find it. It's not just there freely available. You've got to make the time to do it. And as we'll get into it, that's the crux of all of this. Everything you will hear over these next 2 days is everything you already know. All this information is obvious. Of course it is. You've got to find the time. You've got to find the energy. You've just got to do it. You've got to make it happen. That's really difficult. Being a human's super hard. It's super boring sometimes as well. You come home and go, oh, but I need to do the washing up. Oh, and I need to pop to the shops. Oh, and I need to put a wash on. Then it's 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then you need to go to bed. So finding the time, finding the energy is really difficult to do so, but you've got to try and find the easy wins wherever you can. Just try and pick apart things and try and make small stuff. A lot of this for me is just really small. Maybe it took a night or two, or it's never particularly ambitious. Some stuff is. The most ambitious stuff started as a small seed of an idea and took me in a different direction, and quite a few projects then landed me the director role at Aardman. But they're few and far between. You can count them on one hand in a number of years, but actually, you've just got to make the stuff, make it again, get better, do more. And I've just extended that to just trying my hand at everything I'm interested in, regardless or not whether I think I'm going to be good at it or not. Of course, we all want to be good at everything we do straight away. And there's people, we all know that person that just turns up, starts doing a thing, and they're amazing. Oh, aren't they great? Don't we hate those people? They're the worst. We've all got mates like that, and we're really stoked for them. But normal humans, I think, try something, are terrible for 99.9% of the time, and then you just get incrementally better, really, 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 really slowly. I'm one of those people, and I think that's what a normal human is. But you just have to try and force your way through and just see the enjoyment in it, see the energy in it, see the goodness in it, see the benefit in your soul for just trying something and trying to disconnect those voices that tell you you're terrible and you should never do it again. So music is a big part of that for me. And I'm glad I started this later on in life because it's forcing me to get out of my comfort zone. I believe in this stuff so much that I ended up writing a book about trying to find the best things that you can do, the best way that you can be your best self. And that's a really cheesy way to say it. The best way I can describe it, and the best way it was ever described to me, was a friend wrote a review that simply said, this is like a self-help book for people who fucking hate self-help books. I like that review. If I could have had it on the front, I would have. They didn't allow it. But I love that because I didn't intend it to be that. It's just all of these things that all the speakers are constantly talking about are truths that we all know. You've just got to try and reframe them to fit in your worldview, in your schedule, in the systems that you operate, and that's what this book was for me. So my talk is called "Trying to Get Ahead Before We Get a Headstone," and first of all, it's a lyric from the amazing Atmosphere band, rap group, who are amazing. But I just love the sentiment of just life's short. Life's super short. Life's scarily short. And, just turn the news on at any time now, which I don't recommend you do because everything is awful. And we're constantly reminded of how fragile life is. We're all still dealing with the coronavirus. And then the news pops up and says, hey, there's a big asteroid on the way. It probably will obliterate all of us. Are we good? No, I'm not good. I'm having an existential crisis about a bloody virus overcoming the entire world. And now you're telling me a big rock is going to destroy everything we've known and loved. I'm not good. But you've just got to try and sort of take away from that and go, okay, I will die very soon. So what am I going to do about it? I'm going to make some good stuff. And it's kind of, it can be, it's kind of going inwards, it's kind of going into a shell, but you kind of can't let the stuff that you can't control you. We don't have any control of a coronavirus or a massive rock hurtling towards space. You do have control with where you spend your time, where you spend your energy, where you spend your creative coins, as it were. So that's what this talk is about, just trying to make the most of it. Now, massive caveat, Claxon, this talk is full of useless, massive headlines that very easily sum up very complex topics. And it's incredibly reductive, but if I wrote the full text, it'd be really dull and it wouldn't look good on a slide. So that's my caveat. All of this stuff is nonsense and it's way more nuanced. So everything I'm saying, of course, comes with caveats. Being a human being is nuanced, is difficult. For everything I will say, you can easily counter it with 10 points. That's fine. That's how nuanced, complex thought works. But it's about trying to find the truths in it for you that go, oh, actually, that idiot didn't make any sense and the colours are a bit too lurid. But there was a tiny little seed of truth in that. I think that's what all of these talks is. And I love being here as an attendee too, just hearing great speakers and then trying to pick apart what bits apply to you. So, I've given you the caveat, but I'm going straight in with one. This is it. We're on a roll now. It's better to beg for forgiveness rather than ask permission. I love this. I know it's a super common term, but there's never been a truer time for us in the creative industry to do stuff and make it happen because we talk about risk a lot. We talk about risk and, take risks. What risks have we got? My typeface is a bit illegible. Really? Okay, don't get me wrong. Again, being incredibly reductive, of course, the risk is you could lose your job. Of course, that's what you make such a bad decision that you go, okay, you're being fired. Of course, I'm not making light of that situation, but generally, we should be more free. We should be more loose and actually trying to get things to happen in an organization or an institution. You've kind of just got to forge ahead. You've got to carve your own path and then beg for forgiveness later on, kind of using all your energy you can to just make things happen. Because if you wait for someone else to do it, it might never happen. If there's something that you want to see in the world, a creation, a change in the system, whatever it may be, you've kind of got to forge ahead and not wait for anyone else to do it. Because I think don't waiting to be asked is one of the best reasons to make anything. Do it because no one asked you to. That's where the interesting, exciting stuff is. I use a couple of examples. I don't know if you guys have seen Untitled Goose Game. If you're a gamer, I'm sure you have seen it. I love that this exists. All you do is control a goose and honk at people and be a dick. That's the whole point of the game. You go and steal things that the people are using. You go and annoy people. That's it. Can you imagine the pitch for this? Guys, I know Fortnite's killing it at the minute and makes billions. Bear with me. It's a goose game and you play as a goose. Okay, great. Have you got a snappy title? Yes. Untitled Goose Game. I love it. I love that this exists in the universe because why not? On paper, this is totally insane. It's so good. I just love that we live in a universe where this has been made by a team of people who believed in it so much that want to see it out there. I urge you to go and play this. It's on most platforms. It's brilliant. The same with Cuphead, another video game, which is an insane laborious task. It's all animated in a traditional 2D hand-drawn cell animated thing. And that means that every frame of animation was drawn by pencil, then inked with a pen, and then colored in by hand, and then scanned for every single thing that you see on screen. The two brothers that started this, had never produced a game before. They were huge game fans. They quit their jobs, remortgaged their house, decided to learn how to animate and code. One of the brothers' wives quit her job and managed to look after their kids full-time, and then in the evenings work and became the inker for every single drawing that you see. It's incredible. Their whole story is incredible. And of course, we're showing you the stuff that was positive and the stuff that made it and the stuff that happened. There's billions of stories where stuff didn't stick and things crashed and burned and they never came to fruition. But these two games could have easily done that as well. How would you know? How do you know if you don't try? I find it immensely inspiring seeing these people, especially seeing them talk with real openness about, that is risky. Quitting your job, remortgaging your house, deciding to be a full-time parent and do a new job role in an incredibly risky new creation. But it paid off for them. It's massive. Cuphead is revered. It not only is it a visual feast, it's also it's celebrated for the gameplay. It is not just the visuals, but the risk of not waiting to be asked to make a 1930s style hand-drawn cel animated video game was never there, but they made it happen. And I think if you extrapolate it even further, I also like taking solace and inspiration from music. Music is weird and mental. Who asked for any of these subgenres? Who asked for any of these weird and wonderful creations? And I'm just picking out a few of my favorite weird stuff of who asked 9 people to be in mass and make really noisy thrash metal and they become successful. Who asked for Bjork to go, actually, I'm just going to make every single thing on this album from human voices. I'm not going to use any instruments. Just the experimentation on this. And of course, this can be quite niche. Bjork is obviously not niche at all. But and things like Nails, one of my favorite bands, every single album they've done, nothing extends beyond 17 minutes. Every track is under a minute. It's noisy. It sort of sounds like if you were squeezed in a washing machine, pushed down a set of steps while someone was kicking you in the head at the same time. That's kind of what Nails sounds like. Their categorization is power violence, according to Wikipedia. I love that it exists. It's horrible. It is awful music, and I adore it. I love that it exists. But then the same thing about something like Billie Eilish, who's incredibly successful, but she's not compromised on her voice, her sound. She's made what she wants to see in the universe, and it's found an audience, and she's not compromised at all. So it's not all kind of niche subgenre stuff. It's great, and we all love to be protective of, especially over music, right? But it's also kind of cool and interesting that this stuff can break out and can find its audience. Something like the Hacks and Cloak, a British electronic producer, dark and weird and wonderful. He just did the whole score for Midsummer, the horror film. And so I love finding inspiration in people's paths who have they're staying true to what they're interested in. David was a great example of this yesterday with everything that he was saying in his talk, of just making stuff that he believed in. And these people are making stuff that they believe in as well, and it will find an audience. And I think this is a thing, right? And this is something that I'm talking about, and I'm trying to find my voice. I'm trying to find my voice, and hopefully I will find an audience later, or an audience will find my stuff. And I kind of feel like there's a distinct difference between voice and style. I'd love a distinct style. I don't have one. I never have. I like jumping around in mediums too much. But actually, your voice is more than that. It's your tone. It's your choices. It's how you operate as a human being. What is your voice out in the universe? Not just the work that you create, but how you operate, how you collaborate, how you make stuff. And more, I'm 37 years old now and been working in the industry for 20 years. I still feel like this is all new. This is always learning. And actually, it's kind of a bit of a realization for me that actually concentrate on finding your voice, whether it's professionally within your day job or it's passion project, side project stuff, the weird stuff that you don't show anyone else. And actually, hopefully, your audience will find you. But also, it doesn't matter if it doesn't. If you're making stuff because you truly believe in it, then just do it anyway. It'd be nice if you find an audience, but don't make that your end goal. And I want to show a few examples of creative work that sort of made me expand my voice as well, and just kind of find out who I am and where I want to go with things. So BBC Two in the UK had a rebrand a couple of years ago, and they had an iconic identity system for a very long time, which featured a 2, and the 2 would always appear in different formats, different styles. And so they wanted to do a brand new identity refresh of this, and everything was like a zoomed in 2. So you see everything here forms in a 2 curve, but the system that they invented had to be very strict. You had to the screen had to go from nothing on screen to completely covering every pixel and forming the two within like 39 frames. And then the transition had to take 64 frames. It was a very technical, specific thing. And all of these, predominantly most of these pieces are made by the awesome company Super Deluxe. And Future Deluxe, sorry, with the agency being Super Union. And they're all beautiful CG. A couple of here is paper cut, but predominantly it's all very, very beautiful CG. But my pitch, because I was lucky enough to have won a pitch to direct one as well, I wanted to do it in camera. I wanted to do it for real. I wanted to sort of see what we could do. And I thought, well, my pitch was called Squish. Well, let's squish things together at high speed, and let's take tons of gunk, tons of slime, and force it together and squish it and make the two. So I had tons of research. I had a whole week in a dark, empty studio on my own, manipulating, trying, testing different types of slime, of putty, of clay, of putting things inside the clay, of taking stuff out, of just sort of seeing what would work. And I figured, because doing it practically, we didn't have control over exactly when that two curve with slime would come together as it needed to be. I thought, if I can't control the material, I'll control the frames. So we shot the whole thing on a Phantom Flex 4K, which shoots 1,000 frames a second. Blew a fifth of the budget on the camera hire alone. They're really expensive. And just tried experimenting, basically, and did lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of tests, lots of R&D, and trying to see where things could go, and did all these tests, was constantly sharing with BBC Two and the agency all along the way, all the different tests, all the different materials, all the different ways to manipulate this stuff. And this is the best job in the world, right? At this point, I'm just in a studio on my own, mucking around with slime, getting paid for it, shooting with a really expensive camera. This is work. And I thought everything was great, everything's going fantastic, okay, everything's really going to town, this is going to look great, it's going to totally stand out and be different. It was different, and it was different because it was bad. Turns out there's a reason why you should do it in CG. If you need to manipulate those frames very, very accurately, whacking a load of slime that you bought from a shop around in a tray, sloshing it together and hoping it will do what you want, is a massive mistake. So in terms of finding your voice, I found my voice of, well, how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with trying to communicate to the people that have hired you to do it? This isn't working, it looks terrible, you're so sorry, can I go and hide now? And it was just sort of trying to find the words, make a decision at the time. Okay, what is my voice? How am I going to operate? How am I going to work with the team? These are some of the original tests, and it just didn't work. We weren't covering the whole screen all the time. You actually see lots of flickering on the reflections of the slime here, because the lights and the high-speed camera weren't compatible. You know, this is all stuff that we were doing in testing, and we just hoped that it would work straight away. It didn't. And we had very crunchy, difficult conversations with, oh, you know that idea we had for doing it all in camera and everything would be great? Yeah, it's not great. So sorry. And it's horrible, and you have that lump in your throat of like, oh man, what am I going to do? I've made a really big mistake, and I'm responsible for this. You know, I wanted the responsibility. Let me just muck around with slime, guys. Oh, it's not very good, guys. You know, but you just got to power through and see what can happen. So this was a bit more better test. This was tests and whittling things down, basically. We gave it another go, we gave it another shot, and we were really sort of strict with, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Learning by all the mistakes, communicating the entire time and seeing what can happen. And this is what we ended up with in the end, which was basically two sides of slime in a tray that I was sort of physically pushing forwards and backwards that would slosh the slime up and slosh the slime out of frame. And then we stitch the two things together. Then the eyeballs are magnetically puppeteered underneath the slime, because we cut them in half, took the pupil out, replaced it with a black piece of tiny magnetic card, and then had a tiny little magnetic rod underneath, just wiggled it around like that, and made googly eyes. And so it is wonky, and it is weird, and it's not slick. This is how it ended, you know, the sort of transmissions that it would go out on. It was a little bumper in front of comedy shows and funny, weird stuff. And it was difficult, and it was painful, and it is wonky and weird. You know, you compare it to the super slick, beautiful CG stuff, it is very different. But I like that. That feels like that is my voice, wonky and weird and a bit luminescent, you know. So it's just going through things that are sometimes a bit tricky that makes you find who you are and how you're gonna go forwards. So that was an hard man project, but I kind of want to talk about a passion project as an example. And I want to talk about actually using hardware and using physical things to force you out of your comfort zone. So I tinkered with music a fair bit, but always got stuck, enough to get started with tutorials, and then I get to a certain point and go, I don't know what to do. And then leave it for a bit, forget how to do it. Right, I'm sure we've all done this, right? You start a new piece of software, really excited, use YouTube all the time, you're great, you leave it alone for 4 weeks because you need to do your other work, come back and go, I don't really know how to open it. I don't know anything. And you're constantly in that cycle. And I was doing this with Ableton Live, really great piece of music software, but I just couldn't get stuck in. Until I'm a sucker for flashing buttons and bright colors. And I saw that I went to go back on the website, the Ableton website, to re-download the software again because I deleted it, and saw that this was on their website. It's like, what is it? What's that? It's got blue buttons. Okay, bye. And I bought this thing. It's called an Ableton Push 2, and it's basically a physical sort of interface for Ableton. And I like this. And because I'd sort of forced myself to buy it, I better bloody learn how to use it then. Spent 500 quid on that bad boy. Can't tell my wife that. What's that? Nothing. How much did it cost? 50 quid. You do that, everyone does that thing, right? You take the zero off. Yeah? Good. Good. How much was it? A friend gave it to me. Can you lend me some money? No, I haven't got any money. Anyway, what I love about doing this stuff is there's this adage of all the gear, no idea. And yeah, I get that. But actually, I think that's false. I want to reframe it as all the gear, full of ideas, nothing is clear. I got all the bells and whistles. I don't know how to make it do a bell and a whistle. I think you just got to reframe this stuff. And actually, I was just trying to I was using the physical hardware, the Push 2, to force me to learn, to force me to stick with it, to force me to make a decision and just stick with it. And then basically I realized that I was making this wonky music and I wanted to put it out there, but I predominantly used Instagram and Twitter and things like that. And I thought, well, I want to put it online. I don't know how, even though it's wonky. So maybe I'll learn how to do audio reactive stuff in After Effects. So I started doing this stuff. So, okay, you can just kind of make audio reactive stuff. That's one way to do it. And then just thought, actually, this is really fun. This whole world of After Effects and music is taking me down a totally weird path as well. It's also just indulgent for me to hear on a really nice sound system, not my tinny speakers. And I just got further and further down the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden, you've got to do anything you can to begin momentum. As soon as these things start snowballing, and as soon as you find yourself falling down the rabbit hole, it's great. You just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. But it's so hard to find that rabbit hole in the first place, to have the confidence to go down it, to go, well, where the hell, what am I going to do? How am I going to go down it? And I just started learning more and more, and was just going further and further, learning more After Effects, learning new tools. But at the same time, I started discovering Cinema 4D as well. I'd sort of picked that apart, again, did the same thing, picked it up, put it back down, picked it up, put it back down, couldn't remember the controls. But then did a bit of Googling, bit of recommendation on Twitter that, okay, you can do audio reactive stuff in Cinema 4D. So suddenly, I can turn this 2D stuff to 3D. Oh, that'd be fun. I like 3D. Ooh. So, okay. I'm on a roll here. I like this. I don't know where I'm going, but I enjoy it. But then, like everything, any graphic designer, you're like, I need a brand. I haven't designed a logo in 4 minutes. I must design a logo. Because it's the only way I know how to form things, and it was a way to trick myself into making something happen. So, and I love any alter ego. I'm obsessed with alter egos. I've always had, I think, grown up with rap. I love alter egos of names, coming from the world of Designers Republic, 123 Clan, the mysticism that surrounded it. Jam Factory is my terrible attempt at trying to have a cool name. I couldn't think of anything better, so I just picked Jam Factory. And it was like, I can do a brand and a new name. Couldn't think of anything good. And then I just settled on Project Toy for 2 reasons. It's a project. Everything's a bloody passion project. I love a passion project. And toy, in the world of graffiti, if you call someone a toy, it's an insult. It's someone that's playing at being a graffiti artist. It's a diss. It's like, that's me. This is a passion project, and I'm terrible at it, and real musicians would be like, this kid is terrible. So it just felt perfect. But then it was just nice to just invent a whole design branding system based on this stuff, because no one could tell me I couldn't, because it was mine for the taking. So I would just start inventing this very strict rule system of I would only ever use a circle, a triangle, and a capsule, because why not? Then I thought, I know, I'm just going to start making my own merch, because everyone will want merch. No, they won't. Simon Beale from Exeter was the only person that bought one. Thank you, Simon. I gave the rest to my brother, his husband, my dad, 2 mates at work, oh, and I've got 3. But it doesn't matter. I'm so stoked. Thank you, Simon Beale. Simon's a stranger. He has no idea I'm showing his name in Exeter, in Amsterdam, and he's from Exeter. But that stokes me out. Bless him. Bless him. I bet he just thought, oh, the poor bastard, I'll buy one. But it doesn't matter. It's so nice. It's such a sort of thrill to do this. But then, because I'd sort of invented this system, it's like, okay, well, I will only use triangles and spheres and capsules from now on. So, okay, I'm starting to build this system, this world, for no other reason. So, well, I must do album artwork then, because every graphic designer it's your only natural extension, right? Well, I've not done a logo for 4 minutes. I've not done an album cover for 8 minutes. I better get cracking. And because I created a SoundCloud page, I wanted to make sort of a visual language that tied all this stuff together. And then I started finding new hardware, a tiny little thing called a pocket operator by Teenage Engineering, just learning, making wonky stuff because you can. But Teenage Engineering also have this very cool thing called an OPZ, which is like a mini, mad, powerful synthesizer, sequencer, super powerful. Take it everywhere with you, make music on the plane. Really, just, again, it's just instant. It forces you to make something. But what's really interesting about that is that can plug into Unity, and you can build things that listen to the MIDI sequences from an OPZ and create stuff. So this is a really rough as rats prototype, but all of these different things is like a virtual band sort of listening to the signals, but also adhering to gravity. So that gold thing there is a snare drum, and it was bouncing every time it heard a snare, and then because of physics, it bounced and fell off. Rough as rats, but it sort of planted a seed in my head of, oh God, where could this go? But then if I'm into this world of audio activity, Notch, enter Notch. So I started talking to Ben and the guys from Notch, because someone had mentioned, oh, why are you doing all the rendering? You don't need to render, just do it in real time. Okay, oh God, yes, I don't know what that means, but yes. So this is just a screen capture, and this is really early stuff, but this is just all these liquid metaboards, and this is all real time, running at 60 frames a second, and that's just listening to audio signals, and so every time that pulses, that sort of beats and goes, and I want to just expand and go further with it. And then the final piece of hardware is, I've played drums for 10, 11 years, never in front of anyone, and never with a band, because I'm really scared, and I don't know why. I love the drums, it's really cathartic, you just feel like you're on top of the world by smashing the shit out of some cymbals, but I never do it in front of anyone because I'm scared. It's like, why? I'm happy to give talks and talk in front of people and speak passionately about the things I love, yet just making some noise, why am I so scared? And then I saw this thing on the internet, and I didn't know what it was. It was a guy on YouTube. It's like, what? It's got glowing buttons. What is it? I need it. I don't know what it is, but I need it. And what it is, you can plug it into Ableton, and you can build instrument racks and just basically make your own sound to do anything that you like. And I thought, well, I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to force myself to do it, use it, and play music live in front of each other, because you need to stop farting around and doing these talks going, hey, guys, just be risky. Do things that scare you. Well, this scares the shit out of me. Fuck, let's do it. I've even got a stool, look, it's like Art and Garfunkel. F-I-T-C, 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 F-I-C, F-I-T. You're dead. You're dead.
Gonna screw up.
Don't clap that. No, don't encourage it. Don't encourage it. I'll do it all the bloody time. But thank you, you're very kind. That scares me, and that's good, and I feel alive. 10 minutes, okay then. So I want to talk about this. This was a project of a lifetime. This was a project at Aardman. And very long story short, Greenpeace approached Aardman about wanting to tell an important story about raising awareness of the oceans and the plight facing the oceans, and the brief was totally open. Lots of directors pitched in. I was very fortunate to win the pitch. And I wanted to tell a personal story, an emotional story, something that I feel like is my voice, and I'd never had a chance to do it before. I want to show you the film first, and then I'll tell you about it afterwards.
Everything.
It started out like any other trip home. At first, it seemed just like the usual frustrations.
Hey,
I want to play the game.
it's a video, Mum.
Oops, sorry.
How much longer?
Don't worry, we'll be home in no time.
That's enough. I spy with my little eye something beginning with
What?
Whelk!
so close.
All right, that's it. I'm taking the scenic route.
Oh,
There we
no,
go.
not a dad detour.
You do know the way, don't you, lovely?
But that's when things got a bit odd.
It's probably just roadworks.
And that was just the start.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Oh,
Sorry, I can see.
there's our
So
house.
ready for home.
Why is it so quiet?
Huh, I didn't think the Joneses were away.
Home safe.
Thanks, love.
Finally.
Right then, you unpack. I'm going to get the kettle on for all of us.
Okay, buddy. Let's get you inside.
Dad, what's that noise?
Guys, it's okay. It's okay.
Where's my face?
We can't change the past.
But we can demand a better future. Protect the oceans.
Oh, keep it light, Gavin. Bloody hell. Do you like how I segued from, I'll just make some music, to death? Oh, thank you very much. So I haven't got long to go into this, but this was just an absolute dream in every single possible way to tell an emotional, powerful, important story. And I've always been a soppy sod. All the time, I cry at everything. I'm emotional about everything, and it felt like, I'm home. I'm home. I get to tell a story I really believe in. Of course, we all terrified about the impacts on the environment, and to tell a story for such an important organisation, an issue that's incredibly critical, with the might of Aardman. That 100 seconds took 3 months full time, 70 people, the biggest amount of people I'd ever directed, incredible voice talent. So that was Olivia Colman with the voice of the mum. That was David Harbour from Stranger Things, who is the dad. Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones is the daughter. Ahir Shah, the comedian, is a teenager. Helen Mirren is the grandma. Jim Carter is the granddad, and an amazing actress called Callie is the 4-year-old. You know, to work with these people was just amazing, and actually finding my voice in it, I'm so glad I did. So for every project, I've always made a mood reel. I've never known if it's the right thing to do or not, but I just always have. I've just always felt like a mood reel is a great way to talk about tone with the client, with the person, even if it's just for myself, just to get the thing. And actually, I'm so glad I did, because I later found out it was the mood reel was a big part of why I was lucky enough to get the job, because it showed my intention with hopefully telling a funny, warm, charming story to begin with, and then it has a tragic ending. And just learning more about myself and my skills.
Hi, guys. I want to play the game.
It's a video, Mum.
Oops, sorry. How much longer?
Don't worry, we'll be home in no time.
Thanks to doing talks, I sort of found the confidence to do these things called LAVs, live action videos, and they're really, really useful for animators, because there's, you can talk about having the intention of, I think the character would be feeling this. There's a million ways to say, hello, hello, hello. There's lots of different ways to say the same thing that's written on the script, but by doing live action, you get that intention, and I just thought, well, I'll just do it for everyone, even the child. Why not? And I think having the confidence in doing talks led me to go, no, I'll just I'll just do it. Hopefully, you know, I feel right. I feel like this is my voice. I want to tell the story and I want to communicate with the team this way. And it just feels like I was kind of rewarded by, no, you were right. You were right to go with that intention, you know. And that's something that I will always do. I will always do mood reels because I felt like that was a real sort of flagpole in the ground, and actually live action videos are really, really useful. And it was just a dream. I'll rattle through this stuff. Just a dream to work with great character concept artists. Sylvie did these, who is the original designer and creator of Creature Comforts back in the day, working with a fantastic concept artist to bring the vision to life. Worked with the amazing Aardman model making team to sculpt these things. All of these shells are painted by hand, but they're replicated. We have 3 of each puppet, so they had to paint this organic shape perfectly 3 times. Oh, and every shell for every single character is different as well. You know, just work with these amazing people to make things to life. Even our clamshell car had working headlamps. You know, I was just like a kid in the candy store to do this, being a huge fan of that place, but then getting to tell a personal, emotional story was just so important. Even making tiny little props and tools, like a tiny little miniature Game Boy. And this blue thing here is actually, it's called electronic paper. You pass a charge to it and it illuminates as well. It's obviously that tiny. But then working with a great CG team as well. So the stop frame animation, the puppets and the clamshell car was real, physical on a set, but the environment, the world was built in CG. Because we couldn't possibly make this gigantic universe all in a set. It would be way too big. But also trying to find lo-fi solutions. So, you know, underwater, when light dapples through the surface of the sea, it's called caustics, right? You get that lovely dapple pattern. Trying to do that on the studio floor is quite difficult. Not if you have a bicycle wheel rigged in the ceiling that has gaffer tape on it, and that bike wheel itself is attached to a tiny motor, and every time you press a frame on the camera and you move the puppet, that bike wheel moves a tiny amount. So when you play it back in real time, you get these real dappled shadows. But at the same time as that, you have 2 planes of glass that are frosted like you have in the shower, also connected to 2 motors, also connected to every time you take a frame, and when they move in real time, you get real dappled lighting. Genius! I would have never thought to get some shower glass and a bike wheel, but they did. You know, and it's a real joyful, it's the most important thing I've ever made in my life, second to my beautiful son, of course. And I feel so proud and privileged and honoured to have made that. Right, I've got to run through the last thing. So please take your phones out and take a picture of this. This is your homework. So when I come and see you next year, hopefully you have watched, read, listened to every single thing on there. And there will be a quiz. There will be a quiz. I'll be asking you about every single thing on there. This is just lots of inspirational things, people, niceness, coolness, interesting stuff. Please do check it out because all these people and things are great. It's great. Right. We've got like 3 minutes and I'm going to rocket through this. Take the path of least resistance. Just don't worry about picking the low-hanging fruit. Just do it. It doesn't matter. Just the easiest goal, the smallest win. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Please, it's not cheating. Just do it. Play the game on easy mode. Bloody hell, we're adults. It's really hard to get through a game. The same applies to anything that you make creatively. The goal should be excellence, not success. Try not to worry about measuring yourself against what the norm is, what you should do. You know, try and make things excellent for you. It doesn't have to be excellent in the eyes of the universe, excellent in terms of how you perceive things. Don't wait until you have all the tools at your disposal. This guy learned how to play the piano by printing out pieces of paper and memorizing their sequence. And now he's a world-class pianist. What? I mean, what? I don't even understand that, but if he can do it, so can we. Don't make it perfect, make it now. Don't worry until everything is in position. Don't worry until you can make it brilliant. I mean, look, this new upstart company wanted a new way to carry babies around. They didn't wait and think, well, actually, maybe this is a little bit unsafe. They went, hey, guys, we're going to take this to market, and the people will speak. People will love this. Don't wait. I mean, this is a bad example. Because actually those imperfections are great. There's a drum tutor who analysed the work of John Bonham, the drummer, the amazing drummer from Led Zeppelin, where he charted John Bonham's drumming on a digitised to a click track. And John Bonham is all over the place. He's all over the shop because he's human. But what that means is it breathes. It's got life. It's natural. It's warm. You can connect with it. If John Bonham can do it, then we can all do it. Tame the duality of creativity. You're going to love it, you're going to hate it, you're going to love it, you're going to hate it. This is the game. You've kind of got to use the positive side when you're feeling good, so you kind of save up that positive energy, so when you're feeling down about it and hating everything you've ever made, you just need to use that energy to take yourself out of it and go forward. Because keeping the love after the honeymoon period of, oh, I'm learning a new thing, everything's great, and then you fall into that dip of, what? I don't know where I go from here. You've got to work really, really hard to see yourself through that And like a marriage, like a relationship, you have to work at keeping the energy and the love there with the things that you make, the things that you create. Bite your tongue and get it done. Things are going to suck. You're going to have to make the logo bigger. You're going to have to change the typeface. Bite your tongue. Get through it. Be kind to yourself. Idle said it best. If someone talked to you the way you do to you, I'd put their teeth through. Love yourself. But at the same time, you just sort of put on a face. Just be confident. Actually, confidence will baffle people. Arctic Monkey said it best. Your confidence is a balaclava. I'm sure you baffle them good. Do it. Just put on a brave face. You'd be surprised how far that can take you. And it doesn't take much, but just try. It's okay to have confidence. That isn't arrogance. It's okay to be confident in what you do and who you are. But when you get there, beware of arrival fallacy, because actually you're like, oh my God, I reached the thing. I'm here. Now what? It's a real thing. Arrival fallacy is a real term that I've learned more and more about. So actually, it's real that you get wherever you want to get, and then you feel down. That's okay. Recognize that pattern and adjust. Own the chaos when things get mental, when things get mad. Just love it. Be a part of it. Enjoy the energy. Corey Barlog, who's the director of the incredible game God of War, said, we were trying to take an inaugural flight on the plane whilst we were building the plane, whilst also drawing the blueprints of the plane as it was taking off. Enjoy that chaos. We're so lucky to be in this industry. It can get a bit mad. And when it all gets a little bit mental at times, when it all gets a little bit mad and you feel so overwhelmed, just think, maybe it's not as bad as on the set of Fritz Corrado. And Fritz Corrado is a classic Werner Herzog film, and it's pretty insane. The film had a triple production. Herzog forced his crew to manually haul the 320-ton steamship up a steep hill, leading to 3 injuries. The film's original star got sick halfway through filming, so Herzog hired Klaus Kinski, whom he had previously clashed violently during a previous production. That's not really the workflow, the workspace energy you want, is it? Their second partnership fared no better, and an extra even offered to kill Kinski. Herzog reluctantly declined. Just when you think it can be that bad, it's not going to be as bad as Fritz Corrado. Oh wait, another incident during production included a local Peruvian logger who was bitten by a venomous snake, who made the dramatic decision to cut off his own foot with a chainsaw to prevent the spread of the venom, thus saving his own life. Just when you think it can be that bad, it's not going to be as bad as Fritz Corrado. Thank you so much, Amsterdam.
FITC. I knew you were gonna screw up.